How did I do that? Wow. So this is a custom race. I tried to replicate... Oh yeah, I think I just like did something really immoral right at the beginning, but... Anyways, this is a... man. I could not have my mic on for that because you need every shred of possible focus to have any chance. This track, Nurburgring 24H. The hardest track at Nürburgring, the hardest track in the game. Absolutely insane. Whenever you race here, regardless of whether it's in a Grand Prix or wherever, it's almost always one lap, but it's one really long lap. Which means it's not really a, it's not really... Oh my gosh, I used up all my mental energy doing that. I can't even talk. After a hard day's work, too. Yeah, and the reason why I'm just bulldozing through the CPUs is because this track is so comically difficult that you can't try to drive realistically. There's so many parts later on that are so narrow, you pretty much have to bump into the CPU. This track would honestly, it would only be realistic if you, because I think this track might exist in real life. It would only be realistic with the comically like skinny roads and stuff if you played on like beginner difficulty, which this is intermediate. I basically set up a custom race that was as close to the conditions in the World GT Series as possible, which is the final Grand Prix of the main story. That's like 5 races long, the only Grand Prix that's 5 races long. And this race is number 5. So of course, it's almost impossible if you haven't like trained on it a lot to get any points out of this race in the pressure of a Grand Prix with one attempt, assuming you don't allow resets, which I don't. This track is just something else. This track is frequently brought up if like in video essays. If you look up like video essays of like hardest stuff in racing, this track, the hardest track at Nürburgring, the hardest track in this game, Nürburgring 24H is frequently brought up. Not just in Gran Turismo video essays, but in ones about racing games in general as just really, really hard. This replay, I don't know how hard this replay makes it look, but yeah, basically the reason why, what am I trying to say? Sorry, I had a long day at work, and I somehow, for some stupid reason, decided to attempt this. And this is basically just me training for the final track in the Grand Prix. I tried to replicate the conditions in the Grand Prix as close as I could. I'm sure there's something that I got slightly off. But yeah, executing this, I mean, the Grand Prix, it takes like over an hour to even attempt this, so you better have that, have enough points before this track. But yeah, this track is so hard because it's narrow, If you're in the main story, you gotta start from all the way in the back, so that's what I did here. It's comically difficult to pass people without bumping into them, which you basically have to collide with people in order to pass them. Because if you take too much time waiting for the perfect pass opportunity, you'll never catch up to that first place car. The track, it's narrow, it's windy. There's extremely punishing like grass sections that you can end up in, and even dirt sections. It's just extremely punishing. You basically have to use the emergency brake like 20% of the turns. It's sometimes like every other turn. Because the thing is, this track is like, at least for me, it's almost impossible to memorize this track. Because it's one lap, it's long as heck, and there's so many similar looking turns which are just different enough that you'll just get completely messed up if you try. You'll get completely messed up if you try to like think like, oh yeah, isn't this that turn? There's so many turns that you can't see because it's such a hilly course that yeah, there's so many turns you can't see that you just have to constantly glance at the GPS in the lower right corner. And even on intermediate, the CPUs are fast on this track, so you have to like, it feels so unnatural to drive as fast as you have to have any chance of podium on this track. That was my biggest mistake probably, but thankfully I've recovered well, used some nitro. The nitro strategy on this track is also, very interesting, very unique, because you can't just save your nitro for the straightaways, because you know, the straightaways, it's hard to explain. I'm kind of getting tired, but if you save your nitro for the big straightaway, your car will already max out way before you reach the end of the straightaway, so your nitro won't even be doing anything. So you can't really save your nitro for the end of the race like I would like to. You kind of have to just use it throughout the whole race. You kind of have to use it on the semi-straightaways, whenever you pass, or just whenever you screw up, but you can only afford a couple screw-ups, really. There's such a fine line on this track between coming in like third or something and coming in dead last. Make a couple mistakes, everyone passes you, it's one lap, you're done. Is this the big straightaway? I think this is the big straightaway here. It's late in the lap. I kind of had an epic showdown with the final car. I was like basically out of nitro, saved it for like the final turn, just a little bit of nitro left. Oh yeah, final turn. I'm behind, then I hold that nitro, just my last little bit. Coming first. Now, no way I could do that under the pressure of like being in the final race. Took like an hour to get there, then bam, one attempt, coming first in the Grand Prix. No way I could do that, but I figured out if I can come in first overall in the Grand Prix if I just win all four of the first four races, and then if I just if I come in first in the first 4 races and then come in like 7th in the last race, I'm basically guaranteed first overall. But even that's really hard. Alright, thanks for tuning in. I'll have more energy in the next one.